Well. We've now crossed a fine line. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Cory.
In this episode, we will be discussing Harry Styles' second album, Fine Line, which was released in 2019. We did Harry's House long time ago, and I'm happy to go back into the world of Styles.
Yeah, me too. We need some Harry in our lives, and this was a fun look back at where he came from before Harry's House.
Right, yeah. There was definitely a shift in between the two albums for sure. Not so crazy that would alienate people, but definitely still a shift. But makes you wonder what he'll do next. But today we are looking back a bit to Fine Line, and this is his second album after the self-titled debut, and he really wanted to change things up from that, take some more chances and more direct classic rock influences here on this album. And this is also his breakup album of sorts. He was dating model Camille Rowe, and they had a breakup, and it figures into the album quite a bit. In fact, there's a narrative being told as this is his breakup record, as we could say.
Yeah, his breakup record, and also I love it because I found out that it was one of those records where it's like, hey man, don't be down in the dumps. You know, your friends come and pick you up, and his friends here happen to be producers that are like, dude, write it out, and let's put it down. And I'm glad they did that. It was neat to find out the actual artists that he called out for inspiration on this one, and it was a neat thing to look through and find out what tracks I thought were each of those artists, which is something I'll try to touch on as we go through. Some I feel are pretty evident if you know the list, and some might not be. Some I could be wrong.
Yeah, some of them are very evident. Some of them you can pick quotes out. There, he said what it was.
But yeah, heard.
Yeah, which is helpful for us, because then we can listen to it and see what he was going for. But I do feel this is interesting in terms of the homage, which is really, I think, what he tried to step away from on Harry's House. I think he wanted that to be more his sound with the Japanese city pop, something more obscure than these influences. But the fact of the matter is, these influences are solid ones to build a foundation on. And it's kind of the old mantra of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're using those sounds. And what better ways to write about a breakup than with some of these classic rockers he chose to channel?
Yeah, and he's growing up. He's coming out of a totally different, he's evolving here. We talked a lot about his evolution in Harry's House, but here you got a breakup. You're producing, you're making music with your friends. You're not doing a ensemble piece anymore. You're not doing an ensemble act anymore. I know this is his second album since he, was doing any ensemble work, but like you're in a big breakup. You're using psilocybin throughout your process, which I don't know if that was a first for him, but it was wild to read that because it's not something that he has such a clean cut look to him that I don't necessarily equate the hallucinogens in his process, but he's also a young man coming up. And when you're talking David Bowie and you're talking Paul McCartney and you're talking Joni Mitchell, Christ, you're talking Van Morrison, like, hey, psilocybin sort of makes sense here. So a lot of growth, period, but a lot of experimentation too inside of this, where he moved away from these inspirations in his next piece of evolution, but this was the young man stuff. As a young musician, I feel like we all have looked towards the goats for inspiration, coming through it, and then you find yourself inside of this. It's a neat album to go through.
Yeah, and it's one I hadn't listened to in a while. I was happy to revisit this one. And in terms of the hallucinogens, that was kind of a part of his process because he thought, you know what, I'm young, I could have some fun. I'm not in a band anymore where I was held to a very high standard and a strict set of rules. And like it would have been a big scandal if I did anything wrong. But now I'm on my own, I'm more free, and I want to channel that creativity. And that's what we get here, but also within the pop framework that we would expect from Harry Styles. And the question is, how do we synthesize all of that? And well, the result's something like Fine Line.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
Yes, but yeah, very successful album. I mean, the first one obviously got some notice because he was Harry Styles. He'd already been very successful on his own. But this came out in December 2019, and this really established him to show he wasn't a fluke artist, just coasting on boy band fame. He was a real deal artist. I mean, number one in the US, number two only in the UK, actually, which is surprising. But
It looks like that's how it tracked for a lot of the singles too. If I remember
yeah,
reading, like it was, he hit higher in the U.S. on these than his native country, which is that was news to me. I just take it for granted that these UK artists are topping the charts over there when they're this big.
yeah, you would, and especially since we've seen some of the crowds he attracts at his concerts in the UK. We really see this. But yeah, it was one of the top sales weeks of 2019. 78,000 units sold first week. It's now been certified triple platinum, so that's between the sales and the streams, basically, which works because this album had hits on it, and it didn't really come out of the gate with hits in the way you might expect, but the hits came and they had staying power. Yeah, a couple of these songs were definitely bright spots of 2020.
They definitely were, and a few of them have stuck around. Some not so much, but a few of them are timeless hits for him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these are the ones that established him as a hit maker even more so, because the first album really had just one actual big hit on it with Sign of the Times. But here, you've got at least two that are undeniable um, hits.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm going to talk about it all the way through before we jump in. Just touch on a little bit. Production is so key to this album, and it being nominated in 2022 for best immersive audio, I believe, which was a new category at the time, is super paramount to this album. So if anybody is getting ready to take a listen before we dive in, or even afterwards, this is a great one to sit inside of some earphones and really get this immersive sound because it's meticulously put together.
It is, and also I have this album on vinyl. It sounds fantastic on that format as well. Uh, like more so than Harry's House, just because of what they were evoking. Like it's, I think that's the best way to listen to it. But you definitely want to immerse yourself in the sounds of this album because there's a lot going on.
Really is.
Yeah. So, that being said, I'm ready to dive into this bad boy.
Yeah, let's get at it.
So, Fine Line begins with Golden, which is a pure 70s pop rock song, very Eagles, Fleetwood Mac esque, and a true love song. Like, he was inspired by driving down the Pacific Coast Highway. That's what got him into this song, like to inspire him for it. And it was a single pretty late on, number 26 in the UK, only 57 in the US, but it still made an impact. This is a song that people know, and as they should. I mean, is it an homage song? Absolutely. But it's a damn good one. It's just light and breezy and happy to listen to, and this is the song called Golden that matters to me, not this K-pop Demon Hunters stuff. I don't get the appeal of that at all, that Golden song, but this is great.
Don't be talking to my girls like that. you know,
Oh,
it's a K-pop Demon Hunter's house, but that's for another episode.
yeah, I'm in the minority on that one.
Yeah, light and breezy though. I tell you, there are two key words that are perfect for this one, and really, that lightness is why for me it sits so well as this opening track here. You know, we get this almost jogging slash running or maybe even driving beat from this little open snare that goes throughout. It's a great way to open this album. It screams Harry, but also lets you know where he's looking. It sets the tone for this album in a great way, and it's not one that I remembered, but it's one that's found its way into my playlists just because of, again, and I don't want to beat this horse, even though I'm so excited about it, but the way this sound is meticulously put together, it shows right here on track one. It's such a beautiful, wild soundscape that they're doing, and it's not one that or we won't see it repeated throughout. It's not like they were like, "Oh, look, we found this sound. Let's just make a whole album out of it." So it's neat to see the way that they craft these songs, beginning with this one.
Yeah, right there with you on that one. And that uh, attention to detail is also very present on track two, which is Watermelon Sugar. This title came from a book from the late 60s. I don't think anybody had actually read the book, but it's a good song title. Harry Styles said it was about the euphoria of a new relationship, and that is one way to interpret this song. Uh, but very notably, a landmark song for Harry Styles. This is his first US chart topper. There was a big push, definitely, to get it to number one, but it worked. It overtook Taylor Swift's Cardigan and stayed at the top for 1 week, but I do love when the charts tell a story. I love when that happens. And this song was replaced at number one by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's
That's a wild one to overtake it.
I think this song is a good bridge between Taylor Swift and Cardi B.
Oh, I can see that. Okay.
That's why I know that.
I mean, this one has such an American appeal to it. Blah, 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 blah. This one has such an American appeal to it that sometimes I don't necessarily get all the way from Harry, and I don't fault him for that. But this one screams American number one hit to me, and I feel like I have to say that they knew when this is one of the ones where you can't record it and not know that you have a hit on your hand. It is just it's so put together. It's so well put together. It's almost flawless. I'm so in love with the production of this album that I'm trying not to use the flawless word, the perfect word throughout here, because I don't want to take away from the craftsmanship of all these tracks. But this one, every time I listen to it, I find something new, and I love that. It happens a lot on this album, but this one really makes me chuckle because I know this song so well, or I thought I knew it so well. But when I sit down, especially in the in the stereo headphones, and really pick it apart, it's so awesome, man. There's so many. It would take me forever to go through each little element here, but there's so many beautiful layers to this track. It's phenomenal. It's really really great track, and it's number two. Now we open into this perfect American single, and there's no way, in my opinion, that you put this album down after the first two tracks.
No, most definitely. And actually, it was reading an article about this song recently that really made me want to revisit this album because I just was thinking about this song in particular. And Just what a great single it was. This was definitely a musical high point of the year 2020, having this be a chart topper. And he definitely showed that he could make a killer pop song on his own just as well as he could have with the boys in One Direction,
Yeah, yeah,
if not better.
agreed.
Yeah. So, oh, this song also was the this song got Harry Styles his first Grammy Award for Best Pop Solo Performance. Well deserved, not arguing here.
Nah, definitely well deserved.
Yes. And now we've got another love song and another huge hit, Adore You. Second single, number 6 in the US, even though it had longevity. I think it was like top 20 for the year. It definitely felt like it was like number 1 or number 2. I heard this one all the time. It was hard to escape. And number 7 in the UK. And this was really the song that I heard from Harry Styles that got me paying attention to him. Like, I'd heard some stuff. I'd heard Stevie Nicks was a huge fan, which of course piqued my interest because Stevie Nicks. But this was the proof that we needed. Like, we have a guy making a great big pop song, and forget what doing it on your own. I didn't feel like there were guys making big pop songs. I felt like a lot of the big pop songs were coming from the girlies in more recent years. And, well, it's true now. The pop landscape is missing Harry Styles. Because of that, we're getting knockoffs of Harry Styles now, and it's not the same. And this song is proof of that. It's another exquisitely crafted song, and it has a very creative music video with a fish storyline. I definitely prefer the Watermelon Sugar video, which was much more to the point. But either way, another great song.
Yeah, hot tea take. Back when this album came out and we were listening to it in my house, this was a skipper for me. And I always thought that this fell flat. Maybe so just because Watermelon Sugar's energy, especially in a new release, listen to it, was so much that this one slowed it down for me back then. But I have to say there's no way that I feel like that anymore. It's another one that's very complex. Even though it does bring the pacing down a tad, infuses these pillars of pop energy, especially from like I almost say like an 80s style pop or an 80s style West Coast here, with the way that this composition is crafted. And I love it. I love it. And it's another one now that I keep going back to and finding little pieces in here, little flourishes that without it, I could see the song falling flat. But in fact, it's another intricate track here that just keeps this album going.
Yep, and another deserved hit, too. Now, at track 4, we're actually at the first single for the album, which I would call a giant red herring of a lead single. This is Lights Up. It's a song about acceptance. I remember this song getting a lot of buzz on the internet because a lot of people were saying like he's admitting that he's bisexual and the video had him shirtless. So the internet was a buzz, and I wanted to see what was going on. I thought, okay, let me see this video, hear this song, and I was so underwhelmed. I thought this is the lead single for an album. Like it's such a I just thought it was such a boring song, and it's like, okay, he's shirtless in the video. That's not making up for the mediocre song. And for a long time, I felt like this was a skip, but now it's not a skip for me. I don't think it should have been the lead single, though I could also see the logic of that. He was saving the hits for later. I mean, this song does not have a conventional verse chorus structure at all. It's much more abstract than that, as abstract as a pop song can be. And but listening to this album again, I'm really seeing how it fits into the story being told. Like, we're still in that euphoria stage of the relationship in this first side of the album, and this is just about throwing caution to the wind and saying forget it and just having a good old time, all the lights in the sky. So I like this song now, even though I really didn't like it much for a long time.
I'm with you. My number one note on this is first single question mark exclamation point. It doesn't ring like a first single, especially to listeners who don't know who he is. And I mean, I feel like the strategy there is a little bit flawed. I can understand saving the best hits for later on, but I don't know, for me as a single, as the first single, it brings me to this album. In fact, my first listens to it, it just felt too hodgepodge for me, too many ideas inside of this. I've been heralding, the meticulous nature of this production, and it first listen lights up really has too much going on, whether it be like you were talking about the abstract song structure, or whether it be just the amount of ideas going on, or the third point here is whether it be the fact that it does have some Harry in here, but ultimately the composition really, especially towards the end, really structures itself on these background vocals and this choir-esque type of sound growing by itself, which for me doesn't lend itself to a lead single. I enjoy it going through critically. It still hasn't really struck me as a full a fully realized tune. um it doesn't take me out of the album anymore, though. It does, it's not like I'm reaching for it to stay on, and I'm 100% with you as far as storyline structure. It makes sense. So not a bad song, but the bar on this is really high, even though, we're only coming into the first half, or we're still on side one. The bar is very high, and I don't know if this one got up there. Again, not a bad song.
Definitely a grower, and it was the top 5 hit in the UK. One of the only ones that did better there because it made it to 17 in the US, which of course it was going to. There was that anticipation for it, but it didn't have the staying power of future singles or even album tracks, frankly, because now we're on to the next side in track 5, and this is where we really shift gears in our story with the album's first breakup song, which is Cherry. And this one, it's got the LA sound that we heard mostly on Golden to start off with, but it's a bit of a heartbreaker, and that's pure Fleetwood Mac inspiration right there. Because he's saying, like, don't you call him what you used to call me. It even contains a voice recording of his ex at the end, which makes this song more personal. And he's really connecting with the listener musically. And this is such an important part of his evolution on this album, because when it comes to the boy band aspect of from where he started, a lot of the appeal of that it's not just about the music. In fact, you could argue it's mostly not about the music. It's about the personality and the image being sold. But here he's already got the image, but he does need to prove himself musically. And on this song, he's doing that by making a point and making himself relatable. And that's really why this song works as well as it does. Not a single, but it could have been. I think this is another great song.
Yeah, it's super powerful. Is this the first side closer for the vinyl?
No, the first side closer for the vinyl's Lights Up, and it's actually
Really?
it's actually a double album on
Oh, okay.
vinyl.
Okay.
I mean, it could have fit onto one, but I think again part of the reason was to really let the songs breathe, and you get all of the sound from it, and it's nice to have Definitely a vinyl worth getting if you don't have it.
Yeah, man. I just imagined it being the first side closer while you were talking about the album. Um, it's such a powerful song, period, on its own. But even as a second side opener, it really is this connection that you were talking about that gets me on this album, or I'm sorry, on this song. It's phenomenal. I mean, you talk about letting these songs breathe. I went back and forth and was like, wow, is Van Morrison like inside of this, or I get a lot of Bowie inside of it. It really transitions itself well from this finger picking guitar to this really heavy soundscape, and I love it. I really do. It's relaxing. Um, and heartbreaking at the same time. And I think that's a real tough thing to do. I think it shows his musical prowess, but more so, not more so, but also the production value of this album. This song is very close again to flawless. It is a really beautiful song.
Yeah. And the hint of heartbreak that we get on Cherry is explored in full on track 6, Falling, which is really the album's emotional centerpiece, mostly piano based. But the opening stanza of this song is especially vulnerable. Like, there's no one to blame but the drink and my wandering hands. And with just those lines set to this beautiful piano, he's really showing his introspection. And in a way that again shows us this is not just we're not playing it safe. We're going to admit to our faults here and really go there and connect with the listener because we as listeners aren't perfect either. And it's refreshing to hear that, especially from a celebrity as big as Harry Styles. And but he's beating himself up on it. He's asking, like, what if I'm someone I don't want to around? And the vocal really elevates all of this. It's the best vocal performance on the album by a mile. You can hear all the anguish in this song. And it was a single, not the poppiest song, but still top 20 hit in the UK, made the Hot 100 in the US, and Kelly Clarkson's covered it. So there you go. One you gotta hear to believe, I think.
That's a great way to put it. This one, first thought coming out of Cherry was like, ooh, we're really going to slow it down this much. But that's very quickly left after I got smacked in the face with this naked piano vocal that is permeating with this internal struggle. Use the word anguish. Like, it is phenomenal what he does with the little bit of help inside of this other than his own vocal. It's phenomenal. This song will stop you dead in your tracks, and in the best way ever. It is a very, very powerful song. Knowing where he goes throughout his career and looking back, for me, this is like a milestone of his musical prowess and ability to really open up and connect here. And it's phenomenal. I can't say enough good things about this track.
No, neither can I. But how do we follow that? Well, we do with track 7, which is To Be So Lonely, which was composed on a guitar lele, so a guitar ukulele combination. More flippant song than the previous two. Like, he wants to be left alone even though he's lonely, which very relatable feeling to me. It's like, yeah, I feel lonely sometimes, but I also want to be left alone by people. I can relate, Harry. Um, but at more introspection, he admits that he's an arrogant son of a bitch on this song, and that's just what elevates this whole experience for me on this album. That kind of honesty from coming from the pristine image of a Harry Styles who's just wearing his little pink shirt and white pants on the album cover, but he's getting very vulnerable here. The music for the song's really pretty too, so it all works very well. It's pure 70s here again, pure 70s singer songwriter.
It is. It has a really cool singer-songwriter vibe to it, but this song blows me away musically every time I listen to it, especially in the sense of the album, but even standing alone, that pompousness or that place where you can get after a breakup, where you have to look at yourself, and then it's very easy to find a little bit of happiness in, like, oh, you know what, I am an asshole, or you know, it's wild because as he tells us this story, it's just this little happy-esque guitar lally here, but it has almost an ominous feeling about it, and this it ultimately crescendos into this full song, but there's I can't put it any other way than there's this beautifully assholish vibe about this whole entire song, but it's so, again, meticulously put together that this story just keeps reading. Like, you go straight cherry falling to be lonely. It's such a wild ride to listen, and I'm not taking that away from the rest of the album, but just while we're in this moment, it's such a beautiful, beautiful place in this album. Um, Great song, great song.
To me, for some reason, this is the most Van Morrison song here, I think.
I'm with you there. I'm with you. Van Morrison was my toughest one to really find like a full song. I feel like the other ones are right there. But I hear you with the Van Morrison on this.
If there's one, I think this is it. Because, well, it's definitely not the next one. This one is all David Bowie glam rock is the number one. And another one he didn't cite too, but I'll mention that. This is track 8, which is She, which is a song about fantasy. It's open to interpretation, which I really enjoy. Yep, psychedelic guitar, of course, under the influence of shrooms, it was created. The hallucinogens. And you hear a bit of that wildness here, not like full on like you would have in 1975. It is brought in a bit, but it's a good combination of that sound with the more modern pop sound that is a bit more restrained than that. But that's what works. That's what we've been getting on this album. There's still a lot of glam influence and even some falsetto vocals, which to me remind me a lot of Elton John in his
Oh,
early days.
okay.
And that's another great glam influence to borrow from, if you will. Because and just another really fun song. I like it's the most rock song so far. That probably the heaviest rock song on the album with the glam of it all. But it works well for him. This is another winner for me.
Yeah, and we're still hearing this story for some reason. Maybe it speaks to who I am, but like this is that breakup drinking story. This song, like this is the let it all hang out song, and I love the way we get this glam psychedelic rock over here. I hear a little bit of Lennon here, and I enjoy that, but I mean that comes toe and toe with the Bowie, I would say. It's such a really great rocker. It is still in this slow-esque pace tempo wise as far as the album goes, but it hasn't lost me one beat so far, and that there's something to be said in there, especially as we, no spoilers, but as we can crescendo out of this feeling, out of this piece of the story here, we really come out on a banger. That's the only way to put it. This is the longest, almost the longest, the second longest track on this album, and it doesn't miss a beat. It doesn't feel like 6 minutes. It feels really well done, and takes full advantage of that space.
Most definitely. And it's the end of side two of the album for the
Ooh,
vinyl.
heard
Um,
that.
so the next side begins with track 9, which is Sunflower Volume 6. I think Volume 6 is just there for the heck of it. But I'm not mad at it. I definitely like this better than Post Malone's Sunflower. That might be a hot tea take, but I'm not sorry for saying that. Bit of a stream of consciousness love song, which I also feel is up to interpretation. Like, this could be unrequited, it could be a past relationship. It's all over the place, but I think the listener can put themselves into this song very well. And it's also got some light psychedelic sounds to it. Not as all out as we got on the previous song, but a bit of it, like very late 60s. Again, very, I hear a bit of Van Morrison in terms of this song, too. Another example of that influence, which is all over this album. This is a fun one. Probably not in the top half. No, it's not in the top half of the album, but it's still a fun song, and I'm not mad to have it here. I'm happy it's here.
Yeah, this has that hairy DNA in it, like, and it's back to this happy hairy sound, which I really dig. It comes full circle, and I like the fact for me, I like the fact that it's this just straight crazy thought, and we get to have this ride. It's super light, it's super free. It's again still produced to the maximum, but it's not slammed our throat, overproduced. It's so clean that we come out of this transformative vibe, but like we were in a dark place and we come out clean here, and it feels nice. It feels nice. It goes perfectly with this story. I will go as far as to say we see the first look into Harry's house here. And this is him coming out of that breakup. So it's cool to fantasize, so to speak, of where his vibe was going. But it's another reason why I say we get the Harry DNA here. His stamp is really on this song, and it's bright, and it makes me want to keep going.
Oh, yeah. And we keep going with the song with the most interesting backstory on the album. Track 10, which is Canyon Moon. Harry Styles described this song as Crosby, Stills, and Nash on steroids. But I can hear that a bit. But this song very notably features the dulcimer, and brought he bought a dulcimer from Joel Lapidus, who sold Joni Mitchell a dulcimer back in the early 70s, and Joni famously used the instrument on her classic song Carrie, which is an all time classic. That goes without saying. If you haven't heard that one, just pause this podcast and go listen to it because you're missing out. This would definitely. I'm not going to compare this song to Carrie beyond that. I don't think that's fair to really anybody. But this song does make good use of the dulcimer. It gives the song a unique sound. And I mean, it's a very obvious influence and another well done homage, I guess you could say. And this song does take you to a certain place. It's definitely lighter and breezier than Joni Mitchell. But that's a good thing. That's what we want here. And takes me to where it is, this Canyon Moon. Stevie Nicks said this was her favorite song on the album, and I can definitely see why. There's not another song here quite like it, and I love the backstory of it, even if I'm not going to put it at the same level as Joni Mitchell. It's still a neat song.
Yeah, man, this is my jam piece. This makes its way into my list easily. Crosby, Stills, Nash on steroids. I can see it. This is definitely his Joni Mitchell piece. I mean, we're now so happy in the story that we're whistling, and you really feel it here. And I think the use of the acoustic guitars here in that Crosby, Stills, Nash sense, or in that Mitchell sense, just in the sense of this song, is genius. It really for me, it takes me to this next level of happiness. And it's a short little 3 minute jam, but it is powerful, and it feels like more than 3 minutes in the best way. I dig this song so much.
It's a good one. And this late in the album, too, he's still got it going for us, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, man.
Because now we're really at towards the end here. We're at our penultimate track, which is treat people with kindness, which is a phrase that Harry Styles has adopted as his motto of sorts. Which is cool. I think it's cool to take that from one of your own songs, and it features vocals from the front women of the band Lucius, Jess Wolf, and Holly Lessig, or Leesig. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And Harry Styles said he was influenced by David Bowie for this song, and I can definitely hear that in the vocal delivery more so than the music. This actually is much more like 70s variety show style than glam rock. And not sure that works well on a record like it would have on TV. Um, yeah, this is the low point of the album for me. I like the message. I think Harry gets into it. I enjoy his performance on the song, but he did not. It misses the mark for me overall, and it's more cheesy than endearing.
Oof, I can hear you. I can see where you're at. I had to look this up and make sure it wasn't a cover, because I thought at first that it might just not be hitting the mark on that level. I like it because it speaks to my kind of music, period. And I hear the Bowie here. I feel a little Starman here. I feel some McCartney wings here, but I more feel Queen here than anything. uh so it's a wild eclectic vibe serving its purpose, if this is my reach of the night, serving its purpose as a happy-go-lucky, no way around being happy, and quirky penultimate track for this awesome tale. I won't go and say that it fits the narrative that we've been so strongly running through here, other than this ultimate climactic happiness. It's just an eclectic beast. I hate to hate on it, but yeah, as far as the bar on this album, it really is just a millimeter or so off of fitting into the puzzle correctly. It's one of those pieces that I'll jam in with my thumb and then tell myself it's the right piece. So, but it's by far not a bad song.
Yeah, that's. But we still want to treat people with kindness, so.
Yeah.
But now we're at the end of the album, the closer, which is the title track, Fine Line. Not many lyrics to this song, even though it's the longest one on the album. But it tells the listener that everything will be alright, because we've gone on a roller coaster of emotions on this album. And this is what kind of wraps it all up in its nice little bow with this song. I I like that it's a happy ending to the story being told on this album. I appreciate this more as a closer than an individual song. It's not what I'd probably seek out if I'm not going to listen to the whole album front to back, but it works really well as the end of this story, our final chapter, if you will. So, and Harry Styles obviously respects the album as an art form, and the construction of this album makes that very clear, and that's a part of why we do this. We like to dissect these albums, and this is a great closer.
Yeah, it is. It's not a standalone song for me much at all, but it is. In my notes, I have 6 minute outro, and I mean that in a good way. 6 minute outro of the feelings. This is the bow. This is the ender. This is the closer. Hot tea take. Slap it on the end to treat people with kindness, with with a backslash here, and let it be a 9-minute run here. I think it still fits correctly. um I understand it's the album title, and we're getting there, but I think it could have been a neat little 9-minute run there, especially on a vinyl setting. But yeah, it's a perfect outro for this album. Really well done. Just not like, you're not gonna. It's at its very best a deep cut, but yeah, more so like a big 6-minute outro. It's powerful, but not a standalone for me.
I'm with you on that. Now we're at the end of this. This was a good thing to do after The Life of a Showgirl. Yeah, this is The Life of a Showboy now we
Heard
did
that.
with Harry Styles. Well, I know, Corey, I know you remembered this album better than you thought you did.
I did.
Actually, you
I
found
did.
out.
I did this because of my terrible knack for not worrying about the names and just being like, "Oh, this is the Watermelon Sugar album." That's what it was in our house. So I didn't realize this was the Watermelon Sugar album, and then I was like, "Oh, here we go." But I'm so glad to come back to it because it was more of a dance around the kitchen album for us, but it really is a work of art. It really is. It's a neat work of art. I think it's elevated more so from me in the sense of knowing where he was in his career and seeing what he put down here. It's really cool.
Yeah, what's your grade for it?
Ooh, Harry Styles, fine line. I have so many good things and not really any bad things to say about this album. The production is on another level. The sonic quality is just handled like a baby. Is so with so much care, and it shines through here. Composition is really it's really almost flawless. I keep trying and I'm stumbling here because I'm trying not to use the word flawless too much, but it is. It's almost a flawless album, and there are genius marks all throughout this. Um, I have to give it an A. I have to give it an A for all that. Its story, its pacing. I mean, there really isn't falters throughout this album. So in a critical sense, it gets an A from me.
Gonna give it an A minus, but mostly because of Treat People with Kindness. That one, stopping it from the full A.
It's the psychedelics, man. They'll do that to you. They'll get you. They'll get you all over the place. It reminded me of some Magical Mystery Tour / David Bowie stuff.
It didn't. No, it's 70s variety show.
Heard.
It's what it is, not Magical Mystery Tour. But yeah, still a really cool album, and I definitely still want to know what he's doing next. And this album was originally on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time list when it was first done, towards the bottom of the list at 491. But the list was updated again, and this was replaced with Harry's House. And I mean, I can see it, but also hot tea take. This one's better than Harry's House.
It's more personal than Harry's House. I feel
Yeah.
like and knowing where he was, I feel you. I'm with you, and I loved Harry's House. Don't get me wrong.
No, I do too, but I think this one holds up a bit better. It's sturdier
I agree.
than Harry's House. Just a bit. But favorite track on the album?
Oof. Guilty pleasure, Canyon Moon. Yeah, I'm just gonna go Canyon Moon. I'm not gonna stay an hour here talking about
Well,
all these tracks, but Canyon
well,
Moon.
you're in good company. You and Stevie there both.
Heard that. How about
My
you?
favorite's Golden.
Yeah, dig it. It's a beautiful track.
Yeah, and now we've done Fine Line. Not one of our longer episodes, but sometimes the music just speaks for itself. And
Yeah, I always implore everybody to go and listen to the albums that we talk about, but this one, I really think this one is like a dark horse, man. This is one that you don't expect at any level of musicianship or listener. For me, it was just out of the dark, and it's such a beautiful album. Please take a listen in some headphones.
Yeah, I was happy to revisit this one. It was a good one to revisit, but our next one is not a revisit because it's a new release coming out on Halloween, which is very exciting, but it is an artist that we've done before. But it's a perfect artist to dive into on Halloween, I think. We'll be doing the newest album from Florence and the Machine, and it's titled Everybody Scream. I'm
Really?
Yes, that's the name of the album, which
That's
is
awesome.
excellent. So yeah, we've had some cool new releases lately, but I'm really excited to dive in to this one from old Florence Welch because another, I'm obviously a brilliant vocalist, once in a lifetime voice, and somebody who's always got something to say.
Yeah.
So
And some new sounds. Like, I'm so curious to see
yeah,
what she has in store for us on this one. So I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself on my excitement for this one.
no, I knew you'd be excited for this one. We both are, but I think you are more than me for
Okay,
Florence.
I can't wait. I can't wait. This is gonna be cool. I'm always excited to
Yes.
hear new stuff from her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely one of my most anticipated releases of the year, for sure. And there we have it. Follow us wherever you're listening to us. Leave us a nice rating and review. Follow us on social media so you can hear about our upcoming episodes, including Florence and the Machine. And until next time, we're going to try not to scream so we can record our next episode, even if Florence Welch wants us to scream.
Peace.